From 13 ABC, Conklin Company, with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First, with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Good morning, everyone. Sean Hagerty in again this week for Lee Conklin. Thank you very much for joining us. A lot going on today. We're going to talk locally about the fiscal cliff. How could it impact us? Are people around here even worried about it? And we're going to meet some journalists from almost the other side of the world and why they're here in Toledo and what they're working on. A lot of great insight from them. But first, we're going to talk about some of the new things that are happening at the University of Toledo and where their progress is this year. And for that discussion, we have Larry Burns with the university with us. Thank you very much for joining us today. You got a lot of interesting things. It's been a very busy year for you. Right. And financially throughout the country, everyone's talking about the fiscal cliff and being tight on money. You were able to freeze tuition coming up forward. How were you able to do that?
Well, the way we're able to do that is our budget process seems like it never ends, and so we're planning for next year's budget, which starts July 1st. And so when we look at that, we look at where we receive our funds, and certainly tuition and fees and room and board is a big part of that. Dr. Jacobs, Dr. Scarborough, Dr. Gold, and others felt that if we truly want to be true to our word about being affordable and making sure that everybody can dream of college, that we needed to take a stand. And so once again, we have frozen tuition for next academic year. And this time we've actually committed to not increasing room and board, fees, meals, which is a big part of the cost as well.
Yeah.
And the only way we're able to do that is we're looking forward now, let's say 9 months, and deciding where we have to either be more efficient, cut back, merge some different things. And so that's what we're working on, and that's the way we're able to do that.
And state funding's got to be a big question for you. Because
state funding,
you don't know what's happening in Columbus some days,
always,
and it trickles down to you.
The state is very important to us. You know, as you know, we're a state-assisted university, and we have great support from the state and the governor, but we have to sort of make sure that we take care of ourselves as well. And we do that in our hospital. We do that on our main campus. We do that in athletics. And so we really are a big business, but we're in the educational business.
Yeah, I won't get your prediction on the Potato Bowl until the
end
of the program.
The Rockets are going to win, yeah.
Okay, I had a funny feeling that'd be your prediction. So you're able to freeze tuition, and you're going forward even with the not 100% clear what's going to come down from Columbus. If you're able to hold those costs the way they are, do you worry about any effect on the education if you do have to cut back on some programs?
We always worry about the education to make sure that we are providing the best product for our students. So we're working closely with our faculty. Just today and yesterday with Dr. Scarborough, our provost, we met with faculty to talk about things that we can do strategically to engage more students. We're excited about a program we're hopefully going to announce soon about expanding our outreach for internships and co-ops. It used to be when I went to school, you might think about doing an internship when you're a senior.
Yeah.
Now we're encouraging students to, as they are sophomores, to start doing that.
Yeah.
65% of students who do internships are hired by those companies.
Well, it's all about the practical experience anymore. Textbooks are good and very important, but if you don't have that practical knowledge, like you said, as a junior or sophomore, you could be behind the curve.
Absolutely, and I know that in your profession, it's always been sort of, you know, making sure that you do internships when you're in school, and now it really is something we want to make sure UT is seen as a place where that sort of service educational experience is something we're known for.
Okay. There are going to be some deficits coming up. Dr. Jacobs has already talked about some of those going forward. How do you balance those deficits with what you're trying to do with freezing tuition while making sure the education is top notch?
Well, that's a great question. It's something that we look at all the time. In my area, for example, we look at what else we can combine with other areas, how we can be more efficient, and so it really is a team effort that we look at throughout the university. And this time, more and more faculty are involved, and I think that is a good thing.
Faculty when it comes to cost-saving ideas?
Cost savings, how
together?
We can be more efficient, more effective, and faculty, I believe at UT now understand the importance of really working with administrators and making sure that we can continue to be relevant and grow. Online learning is something that we want to really grow into more, and so really it's more of a team effort than than maybe it has been in past years.
It's interesting you say relevancy, because I would think a college degree anymore is not necessarily a given for needing a career, but it's highly looked upon to have that. You ever worry about relevancy of a college degree?
Oh, of course. And there's a lot of things written nationally. Is a college education worth it? And so we still believe that having a college degree, it gives you the best chance for a fulfilling career. It's still predicted that the average person makes twice as much money in their lifetime with a college degree than without one. But we also have to realize most of our students at UT work. And I often tell people they're not working for pizza money. They're working for either paying for their education or paying for their expenses at home. And so we need to make sure that we're not only relevant from a cost perspective, that we're giving them the opportunity to get a degree and then get a job.
Yeah.
Our job really isn't done with the degree, it's when they're employed.
Yeah. How do you, I don't know if you ever looked at it, how do you compare with other universities when it comes to students who have to work, not for pizza money, but to basically sustain themselves?
Well, I have to believe that we are in the higher end of that, just based on our demographics. One of the real strengths of the University of Toledo is our diversity. The real world is diverse. We're very diverse, and so we're preparing students for like a real life experience. But it also gives us some challenges with our students. They're working 40 hours a week, not 10, like maybe when I went to school. And so it's just something we really have to pay attention to.
So do you need to adapt? Do you need to change as a university then? Do you need to be more flexible because the students in some cases can't be as flexible?
Right, and that's a great question, and I'll give you an example of how we can be more relevant and flexible. We are now giving students credit for work experience or life experience.
Okay.
So if somebody, let's say, is 28 years old, they have 2 years of college, but they were raising a family and so they worked, we are now evaluating that work experience and giving them credit for the experience that they've had, which is a new thing, at least for UT. So we're saying to them, you've learned a lot during your life, and we want to make sure that you get credit for that as you move forward for a degree. That, to me, shows that we're flexible and changing.
I know two-year schools have seen an influx of older students as they maybe have lost a job or for looking for retraining. Are you starting to see more and more older students come through, not necessarily 18, 19 as was traditional?
We are, and it's something that we're out recruiting, and we have a lot more veterans as well, because there's a lot more veterans coming back and making sure they're aware of what they can get at UT. But we want to make sure that adult students, for example, feel welcomed, and that we are flexible based on their life. Most of them have children, most of them have jobs, so we need to make sure that we fit into their life. They don't necessarily fit into our life.
So when you go forward, when you look at your long-term plans, do you see yourself growing, not just buildings and size-wise, but student population-wise? Do you see yourself having the ability to get bigger?
We do. We see that even though the population from the direct from high school is getting smaller for the next few years, we feel that our efforts, not only statewide, but in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and some other areas will allow us to grow. And the adult we talked about, we feel that there is great opportunities to grow there. And the area that we probably have the most growth potential would be online learning.
Okay.
Where people can get a complete degree.
Four-year degree?
Online. Right now we have a lot of students who have 2 classes in person and then 2 classes online.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is you taking all of your classes online, getting a degree from the University of Toledo, and you might even live in Idaho.
Wow. And watching the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
So
Larry,
that's something that we're really trying to do.
All right, well, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Go
some
Rockets.
of the insights.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to learn a little bit about how they do television in Georgia, but not near Atlanta. I'll tell you about that coming up.